Shalom and greetings. We welcome you to this week's Sabbath message. This week's Sabbath message is entitled Scientific Method Instead of Arts Method to Learn Scripture. So, scientific method instead of arts method to learn Scripture. Now, in the secular world, when it comes to learning, there are two primary learning tracks that can be taken: the scientific method or the arts method. The college and university system gives primarily two types of undergraduate degrees: Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science. Let us grow from just knowing to understanding the difference between these two types of degrees. Now, the definition for art in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary is, this is the definition: skill acquired by experience, study, or observation. That's the definition for art in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Skill acquired by experience, study, or observation. So, a Bachelor of Arts degree, by definition, is first and foremost an acquired skill. An acquired skill. That's what a Bachelor of Arts degree, by definition, is first and foremost an acquired skill. And it's defined by subjective things: experience, study, and or observation that can be unique to each individual. Experience, study, and or observation, they can be unique to each individual, and on top of that, are susceptible to change. Now, let us understand the definition for science in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. This is the definition. It is knowledge or a system of knowledge covering general truths or the operation of general laws, especially as obtained and tested through scientific method. So science, the definition in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it starts with knowledge or a system of knowledge. And it even talks about what that system of knowledge covers. It covers general truths or the operation of general laws. Things that are true, things that we are assured will happen. Laws, like the laws of physics, when the ocean tides come in and out. And it goes on to say, especially these general truths or observation of general laws, especially as obtained and tested. They were not only obtained, but tested through scientific method. So with this, we cannot stop here as understanding science. We must understand the last piece of that definition: obtained and tested through scientific method. Now, the Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition for scientific method, that last piece for the definition of science, is, this is the definition for scientific method: principles and procedures for the systematic pursuit of knowledge. Principles and procedures, set ways for the Systematic, it's a system, and it's a pursuit of knowledge. That's what this whole exercise is about. Obtaining knowledge. It goes on to say, involving the recognition and formulation of a problem. So these principles, this systematic pursuit of knowledge, it involves the recognition and formulation of a problem. And it goes on to say the collection of data through observation and experiment, and the formulation and testing of hypotheses. So in the definition for scientific method, which is attached to science, it involves even recognizing and formulating. It recognizes and formulates for problems. That there's something that we don't understand. There's a problem here. We recognize that and we formulate for it, and we do it by observation and experiment, not experience, experiment. And the experiment is the formulation and testing of hypothesis. So we believe it to be this way, so then we have to test it to see if it proves out true. So a Bachelor of Science degree, by definition, is first and foremost knowledge or a system of knowledge, which encompasses a principle and procedure approach to knowledge, covering general truths or the operation of general laws that have been tested by the scientific method, which involves the recognition and formulation of a problem, collection of data through observation and experiment, and the formulating and testing at the end of the hypothesis. So with this understanding, it allows us to understand that the two primary tracks of learning are significantly different. Art is an acquired skill, whereas science is knowledge. Science is knowledge or a system of knowledge by way of a principle and procedure approach. So let us park here for a moment to examine the words skill. Art is an acquired skill, and knowledge, which science is knowledge or a system of knowledge, the pursuit of knowledge. So let us park here for a moment to examine the word skill relating to art and knowledge relating to science. The Merriam-Webster's dictionary for skill is the ability to use one's knowledge effectively and readily in execution or performance. It goes on to say, skill is dexterity or coordination, especially in the execution of learned physical tasks. It goes on to say, a learned power of doing something competently. It goes on to say, a developed aptitude or ability. So notice, skill is centrally focused on the ability or capability to execute, perform physical tasks that require dexterity and or coordination competently. It mentions using one's knowledge, but does not mention skill is involved in obtaining knowledge. Now, let us examine the word knowledge as it relates to science in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. The definition for knowledge is the fact or condition of knowing something, with familiarity gained through experience or association. It goes on to say, acquaintance with or understanding of a science, art, or technique. It goes on to say, the fact or condition of being aware of something. It continues, the range of one's information or understanding. It continues, the circumstance or condition of apprehending truth or fact through reasoning. It says the fact or condition of having information or of being learned. It says the sum of what is known. It ends with the body of truth, information, and principles acquired by humankind. So whereas skill is focused on the ability or capability to execute, knowledge is focused on knowing, understanding science, art, or techniques, the range of one's information or understanding, apprehending truth or facts, having information, being learned. So arts and skills are drastically different than science and knowledge. So arts, which skill is a part of the arts, are drastically different than science, where we were able to ascertain the definition for science deals with knowledge. They're drastically different in what they represent. Art is obtained by experience, study, or observation, whereas science covers general truth and operation of general laws that have been tested by scientific method. And the scientific method involves the recognition and formulation of a problem, the collection of data through observation and experiment, and the formulation of testing hypotheses. Understanding the distinctions between the two types of learning is why the scientific method is more appropriate than the arts method to learning and understanding Scripture. The scientific method recognizes there is a problem trying to learn and understand Scripture by way of the arts method. When listening to or being engaged in a discussion about the Scripture, it always seems to come to each participant taking a stand, position. And the stands, positions are almost always based on almost always based on their understanding, observation, and or experience, which we shared earlier, can be unique to each individual person and are subjective to outside changes. Sadly, this is almost synonymous with the definition of art. Remember, skill acquired by experience, study, or observation. It is interesting that there are no bright lines, no gold standards that have been tested and proven, validated to be correct to everyone. But this is an indication that the arts method is being followed in learning Scripture. Because the scientific method employs the recognition and formulation of a problem. The problem with the arts method is that there is not one proven corroborated position stand. Everybody goes on what they believe, what my interpretation is, or what I believe. There is not one proven or corroborated position or stand. And this problem does not seem to be recognized in the arts method. So there is no formulation of the problem. The scientific method also exercises the collection of data through observation and experiment, and the formulation and testing of hypotheses. As we stated earlier, the art is, as we defined earlier, that art is defined by experience, study, and or observation. Art is defined, that's the definition of art, which are all susceptible to change and outside influences. The stands, positions change so frequently by those that have been taught Scripture by the arts method that it is actually the norm. Their scriptural stands, positions change over time, or depending on the situation and or what may be required of them to do or not to do. Their scripture positions change. All those that have been taught Scripture by the arts method and apply it are inclined to change their scriptural stand. As we stated earlier, the problem is that there is not one proven corroborated position stand. And this is why there is so much changing of stands and positions. The Scripture actually addresses the changing of believers' stands, positions. Yeshua himself actually instructs his disciples concerning this very thing. We will allow the Scripture to be the bright line, the gold standard. So let us read the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 37. The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 37 reads, "But let your communication be, yea, yea, nay, nay. For," get this now, "whatsoever is more than these," meaning whatsoever more in your communication is yea, yea, or nay, nay, "for whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil." Yeshua instructs his disciples to let their communication be yes or no, yea or nay. Notice how it doubles down in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 5, verse 37. It says, yea, yea, nay, nay. That redundancy is to make it emphatic. That it's not I'm questioning. It's like, Well, is that your answer? Well, yes, I think. No, yes, that's my answer. Is that something you should do? No, I don't think so. No, that's nothing that we should do. So Yeshua instructs his disciples to let their communication be yes or no, yay or nay. This is wise advice for both his disciples then and those of us now about communicating the word of Elohim. When it comes to the word of Elohim, it should be yes or no. Any communication or dialogue shared concerning the word of Elohim should be able to be answered yes or no, yay or nay. If you cannot answer yes or no, yay or nay, remember what Yeshua said. Whatsoever else more than these cometh of evil. It can't be, well, this is my interpretation. Yes, this is my interpretation. No, yes, this is what it said. This is what it means. This is what they were trying to convey. No, that is not something we should do. Whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. The litmus test to this question is, and that's the question, can we answer can we answer with yes or no when it comes to the word of Elohim? The litmus test to this question is, can we give at least two, or you can give more scriptures to support, establish our yes or no, our yea or nay answer? So the litmus test is this: to being able to answer, communicate any dialogue or communication concerning the word of Elohim, to be able to answer yes or no, yea or nay. The litmus test for this is that can we give at least two at a minimum, but you could give more scriptures to support, establish our yes or no, our yea or nay answer. That's the litmus test. Now we can answer yes, yay, emphatically to this being the appropriate test to use, because Scripture actually gives us three examples. Remember, you need at least two. Scripture gives us three examples that two or three witnesses are required to establish a matter. One in the Old Testament / covenant, and two in the New Testament / covenant. Understand that witnesses, two or three witnesses are required to establish a matter. Understand that witnesses referenced here is tantamount or equivalent to the scientific methods, general truth, and the operation of general laws. And the reason being is because witnesses used here, referenced here, like general truth and the operation of general laws, all give the same account. That's why they're truths and that's why they're laws. Witnesses are the same. When we're talking about witness, they're going to give the same account. So we're saying that there must be two or three witnesses required to establish a matter. There must be two or three of the same account required. The witnesses, like the general truth and the operation of general laws, these are the bright lines that we were talking about before. These are the gold standards. So let us read the first example given in Scripture about or validating that our litmus test is correct, that you should be able to give a yes or no answer. So the first one is in the Old Testament, And it's in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 19, verse 15. It reads, one witness shall not, say this again, one witness shall not rise up against a man. Now remember, we said that it must be 2 or 3 of the same accounts. One witness can't give the same account because there's nothing to compare it to. So it's telling us here that one witness shall not rise up against a man. You can't even bring that case if all you have is one witness. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin, in any sin that he sinneth. At the mouth of 2 witnesses or at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall the matter be established. So at the mouth of 2 witnesses, at the mouth of 2 of the exact same accounts, at the mouth of 3 witnesses, 3 of the same accounts. Remember, like general truths and operation of general laws, they have to return the same result. So the only time you can even establish anything, Scripture's telling us, is out of the mouth of 2 or 3. So again, we should be able to say yay or nay, yes or no, when we're concerning Yahweh Elohim's word, because we should be able to go to the Scripture and be able to get at least 2 accounts. If you can't get at least 2, it told us in the very beginning, don't even bring that up. You can't even bring that up. It is validated and corroborated, bright lines, in the New Testament / covenant. So it can't just be without Old Testament. So let us go to the New Testament / covenant in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 18, verse 16. It reads, but if he will not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. Now, a little of the backstory here in the Gospel of Matthew 18, Yeshua is sharing with his disciples concerning a brother that offends them, what they should do. And he says, if you can go and talk with him and share with him his trespass against you, and he's able to turn it around, you've won your brother over. But if not, this is where it picks up here in the Gospel of Matthew 18:16. But if he won't hear you, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, so that he can see that they are 2 or 3 witnesses, 2 or 3 of the same accounts, that is establishing what is being said. The Scripture shares with us a second account in the New Testament / covenant. So it's not just Old Testament. In the New Testament, it gives 2 accounts. So let us go to 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1. This is the Apostle Paul speaking to the church of Corinth. And he says, this is the 3rd time I'm coming to you. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established. We can say yes, emphatically. This is what the litmus test is. You should be able to give at least 2. You could give more, but at least 2 accounts to establish something as being true. Now, we've made the case that the scientific method should be used to learn Scripture. But, this does not mean that the arts method does not serve a purpose. Remember, art, by definition, is a skill, and it's acquired by experience, study, and observation. So, once knowledge is obtained through the scientific method, that knowledge can be utilized through the arts method. By skillfully leveraging knowledge with personal experiences, specific and or broad studies and observations. Yes, the arts method can be used once knowledge is obtained through the scientific method. You can leverage that knowledge obtained through the scientific method with those personal experiences, those specific and or broad studies and observations that are unique to you. The arts method is best utilized applying knowledge obtained by way of the scientific method. I would like to invite you to continue to fellowship and worship the Sabbath with the Ecclesia next Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. In addition, please join the Ecclesia every Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for prayer. The link for both is provided on his servant's website. Something to think about. If you're seeking a blessing, be a blessing. If this message of something to think about has been a blessing, assist us with your time, your talents, and finances in continuing to grow and move from just knowing to truly understanding the word of the Most High, Yahweh Elohim. Peace and blessings.